Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast. We have some immediate reaction as Trey Yesavage and the Toronto Blue Jays took 2 games after losing that 18-inning marathon. And Trey was just absolutely unbelievable tonight in Game 5. 12 strikeouts, no walks, and 7 innings pitched. So many records were broken tonight. History-making, dominant, so many adjectives to describe Trey's performance, and we'll take a look at it here over the next 15 or 20 minutes. But first, let me welcome in former East Carolina pitcher John White. John, what a night to be a Pirate, and just an unbelievable performance, to say the least, by Trey Yesavage.
Exactly. Pirate Nation is proud, and you really can't put into words what Trey did tonight. Every time you think that the kid's going to back up a little bit, he comes back with a game like this and shows you how dominant he can be with that pitching arsenal he has. So really impressive, and I'm speechless, to be honest. But thank you for having me on the show.
No doubt. This was too good not to have some immediate reaction. Not too long after this game ended, and so much reaction as you would expect for such a historical performance on social media. And we'll dive into a lot of those comments and all these records and so forth that Trey and the Blue Jays set tonight. But
yeah, he's breaking the internet right now. And
yeah, yeah, right when we think we've seen them all, we come across another record that Trey broke. But JR, what did you think about Trey shoving tonight in CHAVEZ?
Wow, pinch me, man. That's all I can say. It's just crazy that he's been able to do what he's been doing. And, a lot of people speculated that, this is more pitches than he's ever thrown in his life in one season. And he's got to be running out of gas, right? He's got to be reaching the end of his limit. But nope, he looks stronger tonight. And, this was his first game on the road. People were saying, well, he's winning in the Rogers Center, but let's see him do something on the road. Okay, well, there you go. You've seen what he can do on the road. And I'm astounded. Like John said, it's fairy tale land. I'm so happy for Pirate Nation, so happy for the Yesavages, and I don't know. Let's talk about it though.
Yeah, so many interviews by Trey after the game, both there at the formal press conference, on the field with various media outlets, and one of those was, he said it's been a crazy year, but being surrounded by vets is a great thing. Yesavage said after Game 5 of the World Series, it's a crazy world. Hollywood couldn't have made it this good. So just being a part of this, and went on to say, how much fun and how blessed he is, and wished his family safe travels going back to Pennsylvania, and then, of course, to Toronto for Game 6 this weekend. But just remarkable. And Trey, kind of going back to what you were saying, JR and John, as far as first time on the road in the playoffs, and Trey mentioned that on the field after the game, and he was laughing about it, just saying how much fun it was and all the smack talk he heard in the bullpen warming up, and that's one of the things that makes it so much fun.
Yeah, I heard Bichette talking after the game and saying that they asked him about Trey and how, what type of person he is, et cetera. He said he just comes out there and gets the job done. He's not very vocal at this point. And, coming up from single A all the way to the majors and pitching in the World Series, you wouldn't expect him to be one of the vocal leaders yet. But just said that he just gets down to business, and that's his mindset and his coach. And it was obvious from the onset tonight, his stuff was back, looking like it did against the Yankees. It was his splitter and his slider were extremely sharp, and you could just tell inning after inning that he was getting stronger and stronger there. And it was just amazing to watch, because you kept thinking, okay, how many more innings does he have in him? And they just you could not stop that slow train rolling through CHAVEZ Ravine tonight. You had to keep rolling with him until it was, it got to the 104 pitch mark, and then they finally decided to go with the 2 relievers, and then we had another ECU Pirate finish the game on out with Jeff Hoffman with 2 strikeouts. It was amazing to watch tonight. Yeah,
well said, John.
Somebody pinch me too, please.
Yeah, in that first 3 1/3 innings, 9 swing and misses, Um, that's what I think on 13 sliders up to that point through those 10 outs. And so that gave you an idea of on what John was referencing and what you said for the game. He finished up with 23 swing and misses.
Yeah, and a slider and his splitter, and he had two other ones on the fastball. But yeah, so that slider, it's kind of under, the everyone talks about the splitter, how great it is. It's really hard to hit, but his slider is too. And you saw it tonight, and yeah, just amazing to watch. And he had great stuff. And this, the slider is a little bit more of it slides back towards the right-handed hitter, more of a Mariano Rivera cutter, as I call it, but just a different look for hitters. That's why he's so hard to hit. They keep talking about his 7'6" angle coming down with an arm slot, and it's just amazing to see how the hitters, what I call flail at a lot of pitches. And really, if you think about tonight, he had one barrel on the pitch that was left up. It was a fastball, and the guy didn't miss it. And you expect a major league hitter to do that, but his ball was dropping well. It was very sharp. They weren't getting anything on it. Even the hits they got were like nothing. I mean, they were barely hitting them. So anyway, it was impressive to watch.
Yeah, how about the play the right fielder made? An excellent sliding catch on a well hit ball from Shohei. And speaking of Shohei, Trey struck him out again. And JR, I know you have some stats specifically about Shohei Ohtani.
Can we agree? I mean, I feel like everybody, this should be a unanimous consensus, but who's the greatest baseball player currently in Major League Baseball? Or maybe in the world? Who's the greatest baseball player in the world right now?
I think everybody knows who that is at this point.
Yeah, it's Shohei. It's
Mr.
Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, yes, it is. Okay, well, in his last 6 games against pitchers that are not named Trey Yesavage, Shohei is batting .529 with 8 runs, 8 RBIs, 8 walks, 6 home runs with an on-base percentage of .680. Against Trey Yesavage, he is 0 for 5, 0 runs, 0 RBIs, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. I mean, that's Superman stuff right there. I mean, you just, it's almost unfathomable to even think that someone could do that to him, but Trey has.
And the part about Shohei against him is he's not even getting good, swings on it. I mean, he's fouling some balls off. He gets a little hit here and there, but they're really not great swings, and especially on that splitter. But yeah, I saw something on social media. I think ESPN ranked all the pitchers in the playoffs or the World Series, excuse me, and they had Trey down at like number 5 or 6, and I was like, you may want to move him up that ladder a little bit, and he's kind of proving me right at this point. So, but I've been lucky enough to follow him, and I know what kind of stuff he has. And
how about this, John? 39 postseason strikeouts, 35 of them ended in swings and misses. Like you said, when he gets 2 strikes on you, you're pretty much finished.
Yeah, and tonight he had Freddie Freeman in a hole 0-2, and he overthrew one and hit Freddie, but I was thinking he was going to get Freddie again. And, speaking of Freddie Freeman, all the Atlanta Braves fans like we are, we know how great of a he's always been, but he looked a little bit off tonight. His bat was not getting through the zone, so not like he typically can. And then going back to the 39 Ks, that's the most by a rookie ever since 2013. Michael Watch's 33 for the Cardinals. So yeah, he's breaking, like every time you see something, he's breaking another record. So it's just amazing.
Yeah,
a critical juncture.
I'm sorry, Bubba.
No, go ahead.
I think he's also the first rookie in postseason history to record multiple games with 10+ strikeouts, and he's also the youngest pitcher ever to record 10+ strikeouts. So, and there's many more. There's more, but those are just a few.
Yeah, you hear his name. There's been 2 pitchers since then. It was him and Sandy Koufax, and then him and Don Newcomb, and now the first pitcher in history to have 12 Ks and no walks in the World Series. It's on and on with him. It's just amazing.
Sandy Koufax, Don Newcomb, and Trey Yesavage. That's didn't see that coming, but I
Yeah,
love it.
and 22 years old. And the great part about this is Sandy Koufax is sitting there watching it. 89 years old, and they're watching the game. Big Dodgers fan. So, and ex-player, obviously.
Yep, and a critical juncture in this one. I think it was the fourth inning, 2 outs, bases empty. Trey hit Freddie Freeman on an 0-2 pitch and bounced it, and then they followed it up with an infield single. I guess that would have been. I'm trying to remember who it was, but
Yeah,
anyway,
that
ball
was
hit back up the middle and could not throw him out. So you had first and second, and then Trey got a pop out to shortstop for the third out. And so after 4 innings, he was something like 61, maybe 62 pitches, and was very sharp after that critical juncture.
he got double play, and then also, I don't know if people realize it because there's so many swing and misses and that going on during at bats that he really does not get a lot of balls put out to the outfield in flight. A lot of the balls hit. I mean, he induces a lot of ground balls. So we were talking offline, and I said we need a double play right here, and he did. And they showed the reaction of his father, which was awesome, and Trey's reaction. That was just great stuff.
I think, John, you kind of we talked about that, and you were saying that he just doesn't allow barrels on the ball. And when you can't get barrels on the ball, you hit more ground balls than you do fly balls, and it really feeds into like double plays. And he seems to get them at just the best opportunities. So yeah,
for a starting pitcher, typically that's not the case. That might be like for a closer, etc. 1 inning guy, 2 inning guy, but a guy going 5, 6, 7, his barrel rate is low. It's just incredible.
So taking a look at some of these records, as we said, there's so many, but Toronto Blue Jays on X, and they just put the first rookie in World Series history to strike out 5 consecutive hitters. Then the MLB Network, Trey Yesavage has 12 strikeouts, the most by a rookie pitcher in a World Series game. He struck out all 9 members of the Dodgers lineup before the 6th inning.
Those are great. I didn't either. Those are 2 great stats. That one and the 5 consecutive. I was unaware of that.
And right before the 5, so the 5 consecutive was going on, and he had Freddie Freeman in the 0-2 count, and that's when he bounced and hit him.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, man, if he gets 6 in a row and he's rolling like this, we might see. Yeah, you can't put it in perspective. That's one thing. I don't think we can digest exactly what he did tonight yet.
Then Keegan Matheson, of the Toronto Blue Jays beat writer for the MLB Network, or MLB.com, rather. He said what Trey Yesavage did tonight is one of the most important pitching performances in Blue Jays history. A masterclass from a rookie in Game 5 of the World Series. We might be talking about it forever in Toronto, and no doubt. The manager of the Blue Jays, John Schneider, said afterwards, "I'm kind of blown away at what he did." On exactly how impressed he was with Trey Yesavage's historical Game 5 performance. You guys mentioned how he has the most strikeouts by any rookie in postseason history. He reached that tonight when he had his 7th K in 34 total, and he finished with 12. So, of course, that number now is 39.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, John.
No, I was going to say we talked about it. He may have another inning in him as well, and in the 7th game, if there is a 7th game, and Gossman's going to pitch 6, Game 6. But go ahead.
Now, what I was going to say is, Bubba, the fact that I know who Keegan Matheson is when you spoke of him is borderline insane. Like, I'm a Braves fan. I have no interest in the Toronto Blue Jays prior to, to Trey's run. And now I'm like so fully invested that I know who Keegan Matheson is. I know who all their, every one of their players is and what their tendencies are. It's crazy what Trey has done in my life as far as following Major League Baseball.
Justin Butch chiming in. Appreciate you, JB, saying 2 great Pirates are Trey Yesavage and Jeff Hoffman. And I'm sure Justin also wanted to chime in because you've heard a lot of people saying that the umpires here in the last several games have been making a case for robo umps.
Yeah.
A little inconsistent, not as much tonight, but especially in the 18 inning game where, I mean, that's a long game to call balls and strikes. So, but yeah, just a little inconsistent on the strike zone.
In which Justin responded, "Oh hell."
Wow. Justin is like a tier 1 listener. He's no matter what time we do a podcast, he's there to support us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
I
said
would
he
think
was
there's a lot
fixing
of
to roll into bed. Then I saw y'all live.
I think there's a lot of Pirate Nation right now that's out there just, yeah, like I'm smiling right now thinking about what just happened tonight. I mean, so yeah, great stuff. I don't know how it can get any better. What can he do more to impress us more? Because we keep seeing it get better and better.
Well, I guess the way it could get better and better is if Trey does come in for game 7. Hopefully we close him out in game 6. I say we. Toronto closes him out in game 6. But say it goes game 7, they bring Trey in the 8th inning to face, the top of the lineup. He shuts him down, and then Hoffman, gets the save. That would be bananas.
It would.
And no doubt Justin's right. Justin, we had to get a little jab in, but he says you call over 160 ball games a year and tell me how consistent y'all would be.
I've umpired personally after my career was over at different levels, and it is a tough thing to do, and you got people yelling at you or whatever, but it is tough. I agree.
No doubt. I would want no part of it.
Yeah.
How about this?
That's one job you don't want to part of.
I hope Justin's still listening, because I would be interested in his response to this. And I'm kind of going off the back of Mike Mullis, who was on Pirate Radio and said that 18 inning game, that guy needed to be replaced. And I'm not mocking Mike, because he had a valid point, but my point is something different. Okay, so they know. You can tell, there's somebody in New York or somewhere that is watching this game that knows if the home plate umpires, what his accuracy level is. And if someone is just not getting it right, why not move them to second base and put someone else behind the plate? I mean, I just feel like it's too important to have someone behind the plate that's just consistently getting it wrong. I mean, what do y'all think about that?
Well, they do have an umpire report. I don't know how close they watch it during the game, but the fact that it went 18 innings and the guys back there, I think you, JR, who mentioned maybe we should have a change out of umpires at a certain point in the game. Who knows? I mean, that's a tough job to have.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And I was going
to tell Justin, I was behind the plate umpiring, and my father was umpiring in the field, and he made a call at second, and somebody in the stand said, "You got that wrong. Take your sunglasses off." So my dad said what he did was he took his sunglasses off and said, "He's still out." And I'm behind the plate laughing at that point.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But yeah, tough job for umpires. They get screamed at, yelled at. No one's ever happy. You can watch the ECU games on TV sometimes and hear people yelling, and the ball is not a strike, and they're still yelling at the umpire.
I know. But don't even mention Nashville. We're not going to go there.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that. I don't curse a lot anymore, but that day I was not happy.
Yeah.
But no, I think going back to Trey, I want to make one thing before I forget about it. If you look at every level he's went up on, he is, he's adapted to the atmosphere so well. And his stuff has not changed. They're still swinging and missing at a high rate. At every level, it's really not changed, and that doesn't happen for pitchers typically. As you get to AA, AAA, pros, those numbers start to come down, but we're not seeing that. That's what amazes me the most. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about the man at this point. He's 22 years old. That's another thing. Wow.
Now, I believe it was you earlier this afternoon when you were talking about Trey's start tonight, and you were just saying that when they're there at Dodger Stadium versus at the Rogers Center or wherever on the road in this case, the Rogers Center, just the way they can, use technology to prep for opposing pitchers, and the way they were using that technology to prepare for Trey Yesavage and his release point, and it's the highest in Major League
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah. So they use simulations to be able to try and mimic it. His is still not, they still haven't got it down with the computers because it's so different. So yeah, they can't do that. Dodgers can't do that when they're in Toronto, but obviously they can practice it when he's coming to LA. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to hear. But Snell is, I don't know if you guys heard, but he's the second. He has the second highest release
Highest,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He kind of got in a groove there, and then he lost it a little bit. So I mean, he's a great pitcher, no doubt, but it was Trey night tonight.
So Justin chimes in again. He says one of those umpires from the Nashville Regional or Super Regional is actually on the World Series crew.
Oh,
I hope he wasn't the home plate umpire.
No kidding.
The night that Gavin Williams or the day that Gavin Williams was pitching, because that was awful.
Yep. So
wow, that's good information, Justin.
But
We need to get Justin on the show.
Yeah.
Chop it up with us.
But yeah, just what a memorable night in so many ways. You talked about Sandy Koufax, the Dodgers great being in attendance, and there in the middle innings when Trey Yesavage reached 10 Ks, he became just the second player in Major League Baseball history to have 10 plus Ks in 5 innings pitched in a World Series game, and the first to do so since Sandy did himself back in 1963. And then I heard another number. It said that the most Ks by someone 22 or younger in the World Series since 1912, and that was before he reached 12. So I'm sure it may have gone farther back than that. But when he got to about 10 or 11, it was the most by someone 22 or younger in 113 years.
Yeah, and I think that Sandy Koufax ended up with 15 Ks in a complete game, and I don't think that. I know that, but he was pitching against Maris and Mantle and Yogi Berra, and now he's up here pitching against 3 Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, and Ohtani.
3 Hall of Famers and the best player on earth.
Yeah, and just put that in perspective. And he's 22 years old. I know Sandy was a little bit older at that time. I think I was in the mid 50s at that point. But yeah, for me, it leaves me speechless on what he did tonight. I mean, I can talk about it, but there's so many other things that he did that I can't remember at this point. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head.
Yep. Justin says that Macon Hammond, another guy who's done several East Carolina games, working AAA ball now. He worked behind the plate in the Futures game last year.
So I got a question for Justin. Was that the game that Trey was in? I think Trey was in the Futures game this year too, right? During All-Star break.
I think him and Carson Wisenhunt.
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about this year or last year. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. JB, if you would clarify whether you're talking about 2025 or 2024.
Yeah, this is the ironic part. He was in the Futures game. Well, the future is now, Trey. The Futures game is usually a guy's like 1, 2, 3 years away from the major leagues, and it happened so quickly for him.
He said he's talking about the one that was in Seattle.
Yeah, so not the one that was in Atlanta, right? Okay, gotcha.
So, guys, do you have anything else before we wrap up this instant reaction show?
I'll just close by saying thank you, Trey. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Jeff Hoffman, just for making Pirate Nation proud, and all of our cheering and support over the years. It just feels really good right now.
Can't say it any better. Thank you, guys.
Yep. That's Trey Yesavage, 7 innings, 12 Ks, no walks, 1 run, a solo bomb on 3 hits, and just a remarkable, to say the least, rookie campaign for Trey. But in the days to come, we'll have more content headed your way. We'll take an in-depth look at the 2026 schedule release. We have a short on our YouTube channel with all 32 home games that you have out of our 56 game schedule. At least it's probably 56. I have not counted it up yet, but either 55 or 56 games, I would imagine. Last year ended up being 55. But for John White and Johnny Stats Robertson, I'm Bub Rosenbaum. You've been listening to Jungle Tales. Be sure to follow us on all our social media accounts at Jungle Tales Pod on Instagram and X. And you can find us by simply searching Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, on YouTube as well as Facebook. And be sure to click subscribe and ring that notification bell so anytime we go live or upload new content, you're alerted on your device. But we'll talk to you soon here on the program. And as always, go Pirates.